Hello and welcome to Extreme Kids Story Hour. I'm Diana. I'm the head teacher here at Extreme Kids, and I'm so excited to be reading to you a book that I used to love when I was a kid. This is called That's What I Thought. It was written by Alice Schertle and illustrated by John Wallner. Big thanks to Harper and Row Publishers for letting us read this book today. Let's get started. It was a rainy afternoon. Imogene sat by the window watching raindrops slide down the glass. Tiger Cat was curled up on the sofa beside her. What if it never stopped raining? Asked Imogene. It will stop, Mama told her, sooner or later. But what if it never did? Asked Imogene. What if it rained and rained and all the cars floated away and water came into the house up to the ceiling? A clap of thunder made the lamps rattle. Daddy picked up Tiger Cat and sat down next to Imogene. There's only one thing to do when it rains that much, he said. We'd have to make a boat out of this sofa. We'd use the broom for a mast and your bedspread for a sail. How would we eat? Asked Imogene. Mama sat down too. We'd sail past the grocery store and fish for groceries. What would Tiger Cat do? Imogene wanted to know. She could sit at the top of the mast, Daddy said, and look for sharks. Would there be sharks? Asked Imogene. Daddy said, you never know. Thunder rumbled overhead. Daddy, asked Imogene, will it really rain forever and ever? No, said Daddy, the rain will stop. You'll go outside and walk in the puddles. And when you come back in, said Mama, I'll tell you to take off your muddy boots. That's what I thought, said Imogene. One evening, Imogene asked Mama, what would you do if a bear came to our house and wanted to eat me up? I'd lock the door, said Mama. What if he came in the window? In that case, said Mama, I'd make him a big dinner. Then he'd be too full to eat me up. Much too full, Mama agreed. Unless he still wanted dessert. Imogene thought about that. What if you didn't have any dessert to give? Well, in that case, said Mama, I'd just have to put you on a pie plate with a dollop of whipped cream on your head. Imogene felt the top of her head. Would you really feed me to the bear? I mean, really? No, said Mama. That old bear would have to be content with yesterday's donuts. And if he growled for more, I'd swat him with the broom. That's what I thought, said Imogene. A few days later, Daddy and Imogene were working in the garden. Daddy, said Imogene, as she pulled the hose over to the melon patch. What would you do if this watermelon grew and grew? What if it grew as big as I am? I believe I'd stop watering it, said Daddy. Imogene thought about that. But what if it kept growing anyway? What if it grew as big as the house? There's only one way to deal with a melon that size, said Daddy. I'd cut a door in it with the chainsaw. We'd back in the pickup truck and scoop out the insides. Then we'd be eating watermelon for a very long time. What about the seeds? Asked Imogene. We could use those for stepping stones, said Daddy. Imogene said, "What about the shell?" "Oh, I'd cut that in half," Daddy told her. "We'd fill half with water and use it for a swimming pool." Imogene bent down and saw a green melon nestled among the vines. "What if it doesn't grow big enough?" "Well then," said Daddy, "you and Mama and I will just have to have a nice piece of cool, juicy watermelon." "That's what I thought," said Imogene. One warm summer day, Mama and Imogene went fishing. Imogene put a small marshmallow on her hook. She tossed the line into the water and watched the marshmallow sink out of sight. "What if I hooked a whale?" asked Imogene. "He'd never fit in the frying pan," said Mama. "But what would you do," Imogene wanted to know, "if I really caught a whale?" "Well," said Mama, "I'd take the hook out of his mouth, but only if he promised to take us for a ride. You and I would climb up on his back, and away we'd go." "All the way to China?" asked Imogene. "Certainly," said Mama. "And on the way home, we'd have a race with every ship we saw." "And beat them all!" cried Imogene. "Right," said Mama. "All except the pirate ship." "Would there be pirates?" asked Imogene. Mama said, "You never know." Imogene thought about that. "Our whale would splash the pirates until they asked us to go away," she said. Suddenly, Imogene felt a tug on her line. The end of her pole dipped into the water. "Mama!" she shouted. "I think I hooked something." "Good girl," said Mama. "This one will fit in the frying pan." "That's what I thought," said Imogene. One night, on the way to bed, Imogene said, "What would you do if I were really, really naughty and I wouldn't stop?" "Oh, we'd sell you to someone who wanted a naughty child," said Mama. "Who would want a naughty child?" asked Imogene. "Maybe someone who didn't like visitors," Daddy said. "Someone might want to keep a naughty child to scare people away from the door." Imogene laughed. "How much would you sell me for?" "Oh, about a nickel." "Would you really sell me?" Imogene wanted to know. "I mean, really?" "Not for $1 million. Not for the sun and the moon and all of the stars," said Mama. "That's what I thought," said Imogene. And that is the end of our book. Thanks so much for reading with me. See you next time.